always felt comfortable on the farm. I always felt that that was a good life. I always felt that it was very noble and something that was valuable. I saw my mother and my father and their families involved with it. It was something that was dear to them. I always saw them being very happy too, and that's an important thing for families, to be able to stay together. My grandfather on my father's side, they were farmers. They were farmers to the west of Hiroshima. At the turn of the century, 1904, 1905, 1906, both of my grandparents from my mother's and father's side came to the United States from Japan. They felt that there was a lot of opportunities here. So they ended up in Southern California, where they eventually raised families and continued to farm. It was the entire family that ended up going to the internment camps during World War II. What happened was my family, both sides, were farming in Southern California, and Pearl Harbor happened. They had the executive order, which all families of Japanese Americans, Japanese nationals as well, were relocated to various camps throughout the United States. My mother's family ended up in Gila River, Arizona. My father's family ended up in Jerome, Arkansas. So they both spent, and their families spent a good portion of 1942 through about 1945 in the camps. The Nishimori family was able to come back and start farming again in the Long Beach, Anaheim, Southern California area. Likewise, my mother's family also did that in the Compton area. Back in 1959, I believe, is when my father decided he wanted to move into this area. He had a brother who had just started farming. They came to Oxnard, 1959, started a company called Nishimori Brothers. There was a period of time when I really told myself when I was a teenager, no, I don't think I wanted to be a farmer. I would say that I didn't want to work in the mud, and I didn't want to be dirty, and all of those things. When I was in my later 20s, I felt that I had an opportunity that many did not have to try my hand at farming. I asked my father if I could come back and learn how to farm. He never pressured any of us, but you know, there's an old saying, maybe you got farming in your blood. So I did come back. Back in 1972, started farming, started working with my father and my uncle, learned a little bit, and went on my own in 1975, started San Miguel in 1976, and have continued to do that since that period of time. In our first 20 years of San Miguel Produce, we grew a lot of celery, a lot of bulk items, sold to the Southern California district as well as to other wholesalers and retailers throughout the country. In about the early 1990s, we looked around and felt that the industry was changing. We decided to transition our business to a more niche product category. We developed cooking greens category. Back in the early 1990s, developed a direct store delivery program to many of our retail customers in the Los Angeles area, and then transitioned into what we call the fresh cut industry, which is growing products, harvesting them daily, bringing them in, cutting them, washing them, putting them in packages. And that started our brand product called Cut and Clean Greens back in 1995.
It was a very good thing for us to make that move because now we are self-sustaining as a company, from growing to harvesting to processing to selling, and even logistics and delivering. So that really has helped us to be more in control of our own destiny as a company. And today, in the last, I guess, year or two, we're now evolving into another new niche, which is the Asian varieties of greens. We are now producing 20 different varieties, some of them organic, some of them conventional, some in bags, some in clamshells. We do salads, unique kind of kale salads that are brand new, because kale is such a hot item right now for the nutrient density and the super healthy aspect of some of these dark leafy greens. A lot of people say, God, you can just feel it, you're healthy eating them. And so we've kind of come up with a little slogan saying, "A taste so healthy you can feel it."
People want to know where the food comes from. And I think it's important to not only know where it comes from, but to know how it's grown and to know what to look for in good food. And I'm the fourth generation of the Nishimori family to be farming here in Southern California. My grandpa would always say to my mom that, "Oh, Garrett's going to be a farmer." I went to culinary school in San Francisco. After a couple years, I wanted to get back to the open air and really get back to my roots, and I wanted to come back and join my uncle. I guess now I see myself being a farmer more than before, but I also think that becoming a cook or a chef also helped kind of push me this way too, because the people who appreciate the food the most are the people who are cooking it.
Right now it is a family operation. We're very happy about that, and we're very fortunate. We've got a lot of good ideas, a lot of new things that are coming up, and it's nice to have the second generation or third generation, or in this case fourth generation, getting involved and taking the company to a new level.